Welcome to Class in Session. My name's Afia Hagan and I'm going to be your host for today's episode, which asks, when's the right time to go to university? The going to university versus getting first-hand job experience conundrum still exists. Some say getting the right skills through a job is important, whereas some feel going to university to get the knowledge should come first. Regardless of where you sit on the scale, the debate has become more widely spoken about in the day and age where the skills that jobs are demanding are changing due to the rise of technology and AI. This has brought light to the importance of lifelong learning. Arden University's own research has found that people feel they need to go to university earlier. While the average age to go to university is 24, research has found that people feel they expect to go to university at age 19. This toxic timeline can add to the idea that people who have a different route into university are falling behind. But what is lifelong learning, and how do you know when is the right time to go to university? In this episode of Class in Session, we're going to talk to Gail, Catherine and Jeanne. Now, Gail, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Gail Steptoe-Warren. I'm the Head of School for Psychology at Arden University. I've been working in higher education for just over 20 years. I'm an occupational psychologist by background, which gives me the opportunity to develop both skills and knowledge in our student population. And I'm really passionate about people coming to university at any point in time that they're ready to.
Amazing, thank you, Gail. Catherine, I'm going to come to you.
Hi. My name's Catherine Hitch. I spent 25 years in industry in the law. I started off as support staff, but worked my way up to management. And then I went to university as a mature student at the age of 35 and never left. And when I finished my PhD, after a couple of years in research, I decided to become a full-time lecturer. And I now work at Arden University teaching psychology.
Amazing, thank you. And Jeanne, I'll come to you. Jeanne, excuse me.
I've left school, been straight into a job, worked myself up the ladder, and in 2021 decided it's my time. I'm going to go get a degree. So I'm now in my third year at Arden University, my final year, and looking at what opportunities opens up.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Gail, I'm going to come to you first. Tell me, why has lifelong learning become so important today?
It's a really good question, thank you. We've seen changes in employment over the last few years. We've looked at people having more remote working, hybrid working, so people have had to really develop their technological skills, use Teams, use Zoom for meetings, etc. It's not just in those areas where we're working in business either. We see it in healthcare settings. Our GPs, for example, our doctors are doing triage by having telephone calls and video calls before making decisions of how to treat people. So the world has really changed and it continues to change as well. And this is not a one-off. It's going to continue with all the technology, with artificial intelligence, etc. So it means that we all have to keep up to date with that, because if we want to continue in employment, want to continue knowing things, then we have to keep that up. So lifelong learning is really important for everybody, whether you're in employment, whether you're at university, or whether you're doing a mixture of both. So we need to keep those skills up.
Yeah, it's about keeping up to date, isn't it? Jeanne, have you found that in your career as a student that you have to keep up to date with things all the time?
Absolutely. When I was working, there was always time for soft skills, how to be resilient, how to answer telephone, but never really a degree that I can put to my name. And I found also coming over to the UK, learning a new culture, learning a new different work environment, that you cannot stagnate and think the way you've done things previously. You can just carry it over into the next lifetime, into a different country, different place. There's always room to learn more.
Catherine, skills development is key, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As has been alluded to, with the changing times and how that looks in different contexts, people realise that they do need to keep up with that, which requires learning new skills all the time. So doing something with the knowledge and appreciating that things change. So we have to change our skills, develop our skills, as well as just absorbing information. Those two things really need to run in parallel. And that's really important when we're trying to teach students that that's just important in life, work, as well as when you're studying. So they're really transferable.
So true, isn't it, about lifelong learning and developing those skills? I think, me personally, I always thought I was quite tech savvy, but then I find my daughter's teaching me things and things that I'm applying in the world of work, and I think, gosh, yeah, I'm actually a little bit old. It's a little bit sad, actually. Jeanne, I'm going to come to you. So lifelong learning is about adapting to change, obviously, and trying to get skills along the way. And with this in mind, do you think it's better to get real life experience or to go to university?
So I'm very cautious to say which one is the better one, because everyone is unique, your life experiences. But in my personal experience, going to work first, understanding how the environment works, learning through experience just made it so much easier when I came to university to connect the dots and see the theory, link it to real life experiences, so that when you give feedback on assignments or even in class discussions, that you can relate it to experience you've had and why it worked or didn't work.
Gail, do you think that's true, that like if you bring in that life experience into your degree, it can give you a little bit of a head start and advantage?
It can do, but I think it depends on the person and how they learn as well. So sometimes coming to university and then going to work gives you the knowledge then to apply in the workplace. That works for some people. Some people also do work and learn at the same time, and that means that they can have that knowledge that they're embedding in their workplace, and the skills that they're developing in university they can embed in their workplace, because you do develop a lot of skills at university: problem solving, critical thinking, communicating with each other like we're having a conversation today. I think it's really important, but it's what works for that individual. So I don't think there's any one answer to that.
Yeah, there's no one way of doing things, is there?
No.
Catherine, I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to put this question to all of you actually, but Catherine first. How do we make lifelong learning happen for everyone, including those who have different learning needs?
That's a really good question. I think from a personal perspective, when I started on my education journey, I really started to reflect about how learning is a process, and to enjoy the process of the learning, applying the knowledge, and realising that this doesn't stop once I've finished the degree, and you can apply it to anywhere, any setting, any job. And that is a requirement, I guess. If you go for a degree level job, they expect that you do understand you've got to keep up with your professional development and keep learning and keep growing in the skills. So once I made that connection in my mind, that made my learning journey more meaningful, because I was able to really focus on what am I enjoying, what am I getting from this, and it being more about that than just the grades I got at the end. So when I teach students now, that's what I try and frame right from the start, that try and think of this as a process. We're teaching you skills and information, and apply that throughout your journey. So if you come to love the journey, you'll never stop learning. Even beyond the doors of Arden, or if you want to do more courses, or whatever you want to do in the future. So really love the process of learning.
Jeanne, I'm going to put the same question to you. How do we make lifelong learning happen for everyone, including those with different learning needs?
So I think lifelong learning means different things to different people. For me specifically, it was something that I wanted to do for myself. I've got 3 daughters. I don't have to change nappies anymore. I don't have to give milk anymore. So now I'm doing something that I always wanted to do. But what is the cherry on the cake is my 2 eldest daughters are in university as well. So what gives me the most satisfying, or what's the most satisfying, is that I can teach them or show them websites where they can get more information, or tools to make it more easier for them to research. So that for me is a personal achievement.
Yeah, amazing. Gail, put it to you as well. Lifelong learning for everyone. But especially those with different learning needs, how can we make sure that people who have those different learning needs are included in lifelong learning as well?
I think that's really important, and Arden University is an inclusive university. And I remember when I went to university, I struggled with some areas. Research methods was one of the areas that I struggled with when I went to university, and it was taught in the same way, regardless of the individual's needs. And I think what's really important for us as educators, Catherine's alluded to as well, that we need to recognise that there is individual differences with people, with everybody. My son's been diagnosed with dyslexia. He didn't have much support through school, so as head of school, I've really wanted to bring in that support for our students. And that's through the type of assessments that we do. So they're authentic assessments, so they can transfer them skills into the workplace. So not just essays or exams, for example. And also lifelong learning is for everybody, including our lecturers as well. So at Arden, we have developed a postgraduate certificate in neurodiversity to train our staff and our lecturers and everybody that has contact with our students, student support, etc., in supporting our students who have neurodiverse conditions as well. And I think that's really, really important. And I'm really proud of that, actually. So,
am I able to, just add to that? I was just thinking that as well, because I have students that are neurodiverse and I am neurodiverse. And I know what that feels like, but obviously everyone's experience is personal. But I try to encourage them to be open with their tutor if they want to, and also try and find out how we can make this simple for them and easy, because it just feels lighter. So I'm not saying that it's easy to learn something, but I come with the approach of, and this is an Arden thing, how can we make this easier for you? What's the easiest way? So sometimes that takes a while to build that trust with the students. And I come in from, I'm on your side. So let's work on your strengths, figure out what you need support with, and then try and work in a way with the students that it is easier for them, using free tools what are available. So everything that the student does, it's not a financial cost, and making use of the extra support that Arden has. And often then the students just feel more confident, and then sometimes that's actually all it takes. But it's appreciating that it helps them if they can feel like something's easier, and that just helps them, and then they're more likely to stay the course and then hopefully have enjoyed it when they get to the end.
I think that's inclusion done properly, right? And done in a way that's authentic instead of just being a tick block exercise. And that's the point, isn't it? Is that inclusion is for everyone. It should be about everyone, and that has to be, lifelong learning as well, has to be for everyone. Jeanne, I wanted to ask you about your route into university and any doubts or any worries that you had about going to university later in life, and how Arden helped you overcome this.
Oh, of course I had. The first thing was, it's been 15, 20 years since I've been in formal education. Will I be able to adapt to it? Will I be able to remember the theory? But I think before the journey starts, Arden has got a lot of online videos telling, explaining how the system works, where to get your information from. And I think the very first day, seeing the class, a very diverse class, all from different age groups, different countries, and I could see everyone feels lost. So we all felt, amazed at what's going to happen. So I think the support, also the student support, is lovely. I've got a personal relationship with them, with all of them, because I've been asking so many questions, where do I get this? How do I do this? So there's a lot of support along the way. And whilst Gail and Catherine was now talking, I was reflecting on my past 3 years. And there's just always been, if it's not the tutors who can help you directly, they will always signpost you to another place where you could go get help.
I think it's important about you feeling lost, but everybody felt lost as well, because sometimes we have this little inner critic in our head saying, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you're not intelligent enough. Everybody else is going to be in there and be super, super confident. And actually it's not. But that's what we're there for, to develop that confidence, help you through your learning journey. So everybody's in the same boat when they start.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the most Googled questions is if mature students are accepted by their peers. Now, do we think that there is a fear of university culture? And what can we do to help overcome this?
I could probably answer that question in two ways, because if you go online, which Arden offer, the online distance learning pathway, you might feel a different set of challenges related to age. But if you're face-to-face, definitely walking through a door, you might feel there's this assumption that everyone's young. And of course you turn up, and hopefully this will be cleared up at induction, you turn up and you realise there's a full range of ages, completely different. And in fact, me as a tutor, I look out at my class and I don't really know how old everybody is, although I'm probably older than everyone else, but I don't really know how old they are. So I know it is a concern for students, and I have heard students say that, but that fear or any concerns around that usually disappears within a session or two, and everyone feels quite comfortable together.
Jeanne, you must have felt that fear of university culture.
Absolutely. When I think about university, I think about big lecture halls, 300 people, trying to memorize everything, going for exam. But I think that's what makes Arden unique, is when you come into the buildings, the paint and the color scheme, you feel like you're going into a workplace. It's very formal. So for me, it actually felt like it complements my studying, because not only am I studying, but I also feel like I'm going to work. But again, also you learn so much from the people that's in your class. Again, like Catherine said, different ages, very diverse. So no, there's definitely not, if anyone must look back at this, there's definitely not to fear that university culture. It's very unique to Arden, and like I said, it feels like you're going to work.
Gail, do you think that fear of university culture still exists? And if so, how can we overcome it?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think it's what you said at the very beginning, actually, about the age you expect to go at 18. There's this route through education, A-levels, and then go to university. But that's not actually realistic anymore. So we are seeing a lot more mature students coming through our doors. I was a mature student myself doing my degree. And at that time, I think it was more 18 to 20-year-olds. But now there's been a real shift in that, and people are coming into education longer because they've gone into work, realise they want to upskill. What is really nice that I've seen from my perspective is I've had a mother and daughter come onto one of our programmes and a husband and wife coming together. So it's been really great to see that it's almost like a family affair in terms of that side of things as well. And actually mature students do bring a lot as well, because they bring that experience of the workplace, family, everything else that actually contributes into our lessons as well. So it's really key.
You went to university later in life. Well, you all did actually. So I'm going to ask you all, how did you know it was the right time for you to go to university?
That is a really good question. So I didn't do great at school. I really didn't do good at school. I didn't really enjoy school, actually. So I went into the workplace straight after I left school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and had a bit of a fumble around with different careers. And then I was offered the opportunity by one of my employers to go and do some A-levels, which I did. I did law and psychology, and was offered a job in law. And to support me through that route. But I fell in love with psychology at the time, and I knew that was my passion. I think for me, it was about, I wanted to challenge myself. My dad wasn't particularly well at the time, and he wanted something better for me, so really encouraged me in terms of going to university. But I also had this inner critic. I'm not good enough. I never did very well at school. None of my friends went to university, so it wasn't anything that was in our family either, and then decided to go, which I did, to do psychology, and got the bug. And I think it's the fact that you've got that peer support around you, but you've also got the support of your lecturers as well. So for me, I knew it was the right time because I fell in love with the topic area, but others may want to do it because it relates to their job and they want to upskill in their job.
Catherine, how did you know it was the right time for you to go to university?
I didn't, but a very wise woman gave me a kick up the backside because, like Gail, I didn't do that well at school. But I knew I could do better, and fell into a job because, you know, that's what we did in those days, because we're probably of a similar generation, that you went to university to get a specific job, so you did a specific course, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I fell into a job in the law in support staff, but I had that feeling like I can do more, I want to do more, I want to get a degree. So my aunt had actually taken early retirement and she decided to go to uni. By now I'm in my mid-30s, and she just said, what are you waiting for? There is no time, right time, just go, just give it a go. So I did, and then I never left. So I just stayed. I actually carried on, did a master's, did a PhD, and unfortunately, I mean, she's passed away now, but she passed away 2 weeks after I finished my PhD. So I was really pleased that she managed to see that through. And she was so proud, and I was really proud of what I had achieved. And so she was the one that said, just like, what are you waiting for? Just go. And I'm so glad I did. And I felt at the time like 35 was old. But now when I look back, I think, no, it's not really. And now I don't feel old now, even though that was a long time ago. So there is no right time. But what are you waiting for? If you want to go, just go, just go, just start. The hardest part is starting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jeanne, how did you know it was the right time for you to go to university?
I wish I had a different story, but it's similar to Catherine and Gail. Straight after school, went to work. But I think it's more the rebellious side of me. I've been in school for 12 years. I don't want to go study anymore. And then when I started looking for university for my eldest daughter, something bug bit me, and I thought, no, I'm going to do it for me. And I think also with that, I thought to myself, I'm going to show my daughters as well, you're never too old to learn. So I'm going to do it, even if it's just to prove a point. And I didn't expect I'm going to enjoy it as much. But yeah, so I think I've made the point to my girls as well. They've got high standards to now also follow. But yeah, so there wasn't for me a light that went on, saying now's the right time. It just, it felt right, and the challenge was there.
Is there anything students can do, Gail, to help them decide when is the right time, if now is the right time for them to go to uni?
Yeah, they can do. I mean, it's about self-reflection, and it's about how you feel about where you are at this present time. So there's no right age to go to university at all. My son went through the traditional route at 18, university. But I think we get to a point where we find something that we're really passionate about and believe in. And that could be when you're 18, it could be when you're 35, it could be when you're 60. We've had retirees on our programmes as well. And I think it's really about you knowing that you're passionate about something and want to spend time with that topic area. And I think that's it. It's also giving it a chance and seeing what you can achieve, because actually you'll find you can achieve a lot more than you ever think that you're going to achieve as well.
I definitely agree with that point, because my biggest fear was, can I do this? Am I going to make an idiot of myself? And then you realise, oh, actually I can do this, and I'm not just scraping the points at the bottom. So, maybe I can, and I dare say enjoy it and really start getting something out of it. And then that kickstarts you into thinking, well, what else can I do? And that starts you off on a whole other sort of thought process, trajectory that maybe you hadn't even thought about before, once you start realising actually what you can do once you begin.
Yeah, what you're capable of once you just unlock that little bit, isn't it? How can we all adopt a lifelong learning mindset, Catherine?
I would say try and enjoy what you're learning, because that's the easiest way to have this mindset, and try and be open-minded to what comes along. And we're really seeing we have to be like that right now, especially with changes in technology, for example. So I would say those two things coupled together, but also remember that learning, if you really love learning and you're taking it seriously, it's not a quick 5-minute thing. We do have to invest a bit of time into doing it. So if we have those things, then that makes it easier and enjoyable, and becomes part of your life then and who you are.
Jeanne, how can we adopt a lifelong learning mindset?
So I would say lifelong learning does not necessarily mean getting degree after degree after degree. just going into this degree, I've learned so much from other people that's in the classroom, from their cultures, from the way they do business. Like, for instance, if I just take McDonald's, the way they do marketing in different countries, where you learn from them. So it's not only the theory that you learn, but it's your interaction with other people in the classroom. And then other opportunities that university presents, like other committees you can get involved in. There was a student committee, there's the incubator. So if you get involved in that, you even learn more about other people, a different way to set up your own business. So it doesn't just stop with theory. You must continuously, obviously, see where you can learn more from other people as well.
Mm. And Gail, I'll come to you. How can we all adopt a lifelong learning mindset?
I think it is about mindset. I think that's the most important thing. So there's Carol Dweck that talks about growth and fixed mindset. So growth mindset is where you're all in control of what you do and the outcomes that you've got as well. Whereas your fixed mindset is if you fail at something once, then I'm really stupid, I'm not intelligent enough, I've not done that right. So you get this inner critic going on again. And we see it in sports as well, where you've got the runner that doesn't win the race or the football team that doesn't win the match. But they come back and they have that resilience and they think we can do this. So it's getting yourself into that mindset that we all have setbacks. But to continue learning is really important for the employment market today, for us and our own mental health as well. Learning improves mental health. So I think it's having that growth mindset and really considering that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much to you all, to Gail, to Catherine and to Jeanne, for sharing your experiences of going to university a bit later in life, and of course adopting that lifelong learning mindset. It's something I'm still trying to get my head around, I'm going to be honest. It seems that lifelong learning is becoming more and more important, and adopting a growth mindset is key. But more importantly, it seems the onus is on education institutions too, to make sure that they are supporting students that have different lifestyles and different needs. There is no right time to go to university, but having the right mindset seems is what could help you succeed and reach the career you wish to have. If you enjoyed this episode, there's much more. Feel free to subscribe to Arding University Spotify or YouTube, where you can listen and watch all of our discussions in the Class in Session series.